Remember in November 2022, ChatGPT comes out, and we were then inundated with articles, videos, how to be a prompt engineer, how to write the best prompts, and all of that fantastic material that was hugely important. And you know what? The GPT's AI has learned, and now it's getting more and more and more accurate. So, are the prompts that we write really that important? Well, you know what? They are, because you want things such as context, the tone, all of that. So, do you want it written as an academic journal? Do you want it written as a informal blog post? It's really important that we get those sorts of characteristics in there. Now, what's critical for me is if you want a unique perspective or an innovative concept coming from one of the GPTs, you have to ask open ended questions. So get very specific like they want, but the question you're asking them to respond to is very open ended. And that's going to get you those innovative, those unique perspective sort of responses that you may want. Now, not all the time do we want an innovative or unique perspective. So we're going to close that question a little bit. This is specifically what I want, and you tell it what you want. But if you want some innovation, you can give it the problem, the context that it's in, and ask for an innovative solution. So leave it wide open for the GPT to give you that unique perspective. So let's jump into a prompt that I wrote on prompt writing to Copy AI. I like Copy AI because it has this nice little improve button on the bottom that we'll play with in a moment. And we'll look at what it can do. I'll ask it a prompt that's kind of bare bones, and then we'll see what it does to help me with that. So let's jump in and look at Copy AI. Here's the prompt that I use. Give me a list of 5 tips for prompt writing to ensure people get what they want as a response. What I love about the response is it gives me the main piece. So be specific and detailed, why it's important and how to do it. Set the context, why and how. And I'm actually going to put this in the discussion forum here as well. Then define format or structure, clarify the tone or style, and then use examples when possible, and why and how, why and how, why and how. So let's ask it a simple question. So, blank question here. So I'll ask it something about AI and bias, since we just walked through some of the bias stuff. So, how can AI be biased? And you know what? You don't have to use capitalization periods. I love it. How can AI be biased? Question mark. That's kind of a very wide open question. So I'm going to ask it to improve. Well, first, I can't have the bracket there. So I'm going to say improve. And then it's going to give me an option here. Where is, oh, there we go. So it says, craft a detailed explanation outlining away. So it's giving me all the context, telling it, and it's being very precise as well. And it's going to say types of bias, causes of bias, highlight detecting and mitigating bias. That's fantastic. So let's just hit go for it. So let's see what it gave us. It's coming up with some really good stuff. The manifestation of bias in artificial intelligence is giving a succinct description up front, and then the types of bias, selection bias, confirmation bias, algorithmic bias, and then the cause of bias. So I'm glad to see that we were able to add more different types of bias in our discussion above, or in the video above, where we discuss bias, and then the causes of bias. We have training data, design flaws, lack of diversity in development teams, consequences of bias, and detecting and mitigating bias. So now that was a great prompt. It gave me some excellent information. But what if I wanted this to be, okay, I need it to be more about examples of within instructional design. So I'm going to say, okay, so from that response, what are some examples for instructional designers? And you could put anybody in there, right? Whoever you're looking for. Let's see what it says. So I was pretty specific when it is instructional designers play a pivotal role in creating educational experience content. So data-driven personalization, then it gives the bias impact and the instructional designer's role. I love the way it does that. So have a conversation. So we've been talking about, remember, in Supermind and building our Supermind using AI as a partner. So that's how we use it as a partner. We just don't take what it gives us. We have conversations back and forth. So I like, hey, what are some examples specifically for instructional designers? And boom, it gave it to us very clearly. Now let's challenge ourselves. So what I'm going to ask you to do is go to your favorite GPT, write a generic prompt, boom, get the response. Then use the tips that are linked here in the discussion and adjust your prompt according to the tips, get the response from that. In our discussion, let us know, did it work? Did we get a better response when we were more specific, added context, possible examples? And then also talk to or interact with the bot, with the GPT, and ask it questions trying to get it more specific and see if you get the responses that you want. And let us know. You don't have to put the responses in here. Just let us know, hey, you know what? Either it was better when I did the generic font or generic prompt, or it was better when I did the more specific prompt according to the tips that Copy AI gave. And when I interacted with it, this is what happened. So that'll be interesting because we're all going to have a little bit of a different experience doing that. So I look forward to seeing what you have to say.